Okay, I got it. Stop.
Hi everybody, it's me Jason here at North of Exile Games. I know it might be weird seeing me today in the context of this, but I just need to introduce myself. I am one of several owners of the going forward IP for Genesis Battle of Champions. That's right. So today I'm also being joined by the very popular and much beloved Jeffrey Pacito, and we're going to tell you how we got to this point, what's been going on. We're going to explain a little bit about why we haven't been able to speak publicly about things, and we're going to let you know a lot of exciting information about what's going to be going on here in the future of Genesis Battle of Champions. The first thing I'd like to explain to everybody, because I know, and I'm not going to be able to read the chat right away as I get started on this, but I know there's a couple things you really, really want to know right away. So if you could just be patient and let me convey that information to you, then we can start a question and answer period after. The first thing everybody's probably wondering is, why is Jeffrey Pacito here? Well, funny thing, there's a new company that actually physically exists now in Canada called Edge of Exile Entertainment. And I am the president of that company. And Jeffrey Pacito is the chief design officer for that company. Which means we two are the primary two people who are going to be spearheading the movement of moving forward with Genesis Battle Champions and taking it to all new heights. And I'm very excited to share that with you. I'm sorry that it's taken so long to get here, but we're going to cover right now what's been going on in the background. So I cleared with Jeff that I'm going to start this, if that's okay with you, Jeff.
Yeah, believe it or not, guys, I'm going to be quiet for a little bit. This will be the first time and last time I'm quiet. I'll speak after this.
He's actually usually very
let Jason
outspoken.
go.
But first thing that I want to let everybody know is, much like all of you out there, when Sid kind of randomly out of the blue announced that Haunted Castle Gaming was shutting down and the game we all loved was going away, we were both devastated.
Yeah, completely.
Like, especially me. Well, I can't say especially me because I know you were too, but like, I can only speak from my heart. And Genesis, I've always said, is my favorite game to play. Like, and up here in Midland, we've been trying so hard to keep the game going. We still have good turnouts every Wednesday night because we love it so much. And I was really devastated, like heartbroken. And in the first few days after it got announced, and we're all feeling helpless, and we're all feeling hopeless, and we're all very frustrated, and we're all feeling forced. We're all feeling frustrated. Jeffrey kind of took the reins at first to try and find a way to save the game, or I guess maybe you were asked to, because a lot of people had ideas on how to like come together and try and save.
I can step in for a minute there to fill in. So I was kind of approached from all aspects. I joined into one group of people that was interested. It was a fan group, some of which are actually in the chat right now live. I can see them. We made a valiant attempt. I was part of another group with a party I can't disclose. I was also approached by Sid himself to kind of be the go-between. Because as you know, as Jason alluded to, since that message, no one's heard anything. So
Right.
I was kind of a go-between. And once one project stopped, I made an effort to see where the next project was. And I was also pushed into some of the next potential projects to try and help this get back up. So this is my fourth swing at the can?
I'll take
third?
It's
Third
the
or
first
fourth.
one I was involved in.
The first one Jason was involved in, but it's my third or fourth time at bat trying to find a solution to the Genesis Battle of Champions announcement. Sorry, the Haunted Castle Gaming announcement that was made about 6 weeks ago. Yeah, go ahead.
So just to catch everybody up to speed, when Jeff first started, and I don't know if it's even fair to say that you started, but when that first group started, there was, I don't know, 8 or 9 people involved, hopefully trying to fundraise, hopefully trying to find a way to get the IP or to buy the company or whatever. Jeff approached me right away on that, and I had some questions right away about how it would work. That's the honest truth. And for me, when I asked Jeff a couple questions, simple questions like, well, who's going to run the company? Who's going to do things if there's 9 voices or 9 chefs in the kitchen? At that point, because it was super early, it was only a few days after, Jeff didn't really have any firm answers. I guess that group hadn't figured that out yet. So I was like, okay, well, I can't really put my money and time into something like that if you guys haven't fleshed it out yet. And then, but in the meantime, I was like, I really want to see if I can try and save the game. And it was cool to know that other people were working on it too, but it was... Sorry.
I'm going to try and answer a few of your questions in the chat as I can, things that are simple to answer that we don't have to be involved with, but please listen to Jason. He's got a lot to say.
So I'm going to just try not to look at the chat at all, because it's really throwing me off when I'm trying to convey important information here. So what happened was I started working on whatever I could do to save the game, like a lot of you did, or maybe not like a lot of you did, because like I went to banks and started looking into financing. I started working because I own a business and I've been a business person and a company owner for about 6 years now. I know what it's like to draw business plans. I know what it's like to have to do all the research on the market and all that. I worked on a huge business plan. And at the time, I was thinking it was going to be just me and my spouse trying to save this game if everybody else failed. And then after a few weeks, like now we're saying maybe three weeks after the announcement had happened, and everybody's really losing their minds because we're all feeling so terrible. All of us are feeling terrible that we're losing this game that we love. I reached out to Jeff and I'm like, "What is going on with your guys' plan, the group plan?" And at that point, Jeff, was it about 3 weeks? Because I don't know how long it took. I get confused on the dates.
It was about 3 to 4 weeks. I mean, April 3rd was the announcement from the website said they were done.
Right.
I think it was about 3 weeks because it was about 2 weeks. Some of the people are in the chat, they will know, but I think it was about 2 weeks in. We had our first disappointment that things weren't going to work out. And then it was about another week when the second project fell apart. And it was just after that. So it would be around that 3-4 week window.
Okay.
So because we've been at this ourselves, you and me, about just over 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a 3.5 week window that you touch base with me.
So when I reached out to Jeff just to get a follow up to see if they had made any progress, because I still wanted to know like if that was going to be a thing or not, he said to me basically it wasn't going to work out. There was a variety of reasons why it wasn't. And at that point, I talked it over with my spouse Janice. I said, "Listen, like it doesn't sound like anybody else is going to be able to save this game. I'd like to maybe talk with Jeff about bringing him in." And she was very cool on that because we know Jeff really well. Actually, Jeff comes up here fairly often to play up here. So I was like, "Look, if there's no other way to save it, how would you feel about coming on board with what I'm trying to put together?" And I explained to him the reasons why I thought it would work, the reasons why I hoped it might be a successful bid. I showed him what I had been doing in writing and whatnot, and Jeff was like, pretty receptive, right?
I will say it was the best put together plan out of the 2 or 3 plans I had seen that thus far.
Yeah.
It was probably the one that made the most sense. I mean, stuff you guys don't know about me. I've been in business for 25 years. I know, despite my youthful look. So I do have business chops and knowledge there, and it was probably one of the best put together plans, and it seemed like the thing that had made the most sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad it ended up working out thus far because it is the one that seems to be the one that will get this back off the ground as strongly as possible.
So the cool thing is that we do have a good business plan and we do have a good roadmap for success in the future. And we're very excited to get to the point where we could reach out to people who were involved previously in the future. But the thing is, it's not time for that yet. It quite simply isn't, because something that I know a lot of people are just going to be stubborn and not want to listen to this, but the truth is, in reality, when there's a business acquisition going on, it usually takes months for that to happen. There's lawyers involved. There's all sorts of things involved. And like, it doesn't happen that fast. So what we were trying to do was we were trying to secure the rights to the game. We were trying to make sure it had a good future. And then we didn't want to waste anybody's time, because that would, quite frankly, just be cruel to reach out to people and say, we're going to save this game and we want you involved. And then if something came up with lawyers like a week ago or whatever, if something would have came up, we'd have had to break all their hearts again. And that's not how you do business. So we wanted to make sure we had all of our T's crossed and our I's dotted. And that's why we haven't been able to say anything publicly. And quite frankly, our lawyers told us, don't talk about things publicly until it's done. And that's the real world. Like, you listen to what your lawyers tell you. And that's what happened. Now today, unfortunately, our hand has been forced a little bit, because even though Invasions wasn't set to release until August, and even though we haven't really lost anything yet, a lot of the cards have been getting spoiled, and things have been happening, things have been wrongfully being said about us, and so we kind of had to step out here. Even though we can't answer all the questions yet, we're going to try and answer as many questions as we can today. But some things we literally can't answer, because this live stream should have been happening 2 weeks from now on a Friday. That's when it was going to happen. But here we are. So what I'd like to just say is, I'm very excited for the future. We have a great roadmap in place. We're going to be growing the game. The game is genuinely, in my opinion, one of the best games to play on the world. I have more fun playing Genesis than any other game. And between Jeffrey and myself, we're going to take this to a whole new level. Now then, with that being said, is there anything you'd like to address right away before we start trying our best to answer what questions we can answer?
I don't. I don't think there's anything specific. I know there was some stuff that happened earlier on, and I noticed, which kind of started some of our conversation here. I noticed people like John stepped in to make comments that at no point in time was anything done in a negative tone from us. I mean, you people that know me know who I am and how I am, and I've actually talked to you, some of you personally, and said, hey, you know how much I like the sound of my own voice. I'm sorry I can't say anything yet. As at this point, we felt we did have to step in and announce a little early, so I don't have all the answers for you. I'm the biggest proponent of transparency, trying to be clear and honest and open about everything, but I'm not in a position to say all the answers I can at this point, as Jason isn't either, due to, and you guys call it what you want, but due to legal circumstances. We're still working through some stuff. And
yeah, not everything is 100% hashed
we can't. We just can't. So I want. That's why we clearly stated to ask us almost anything, because we can't answer everything. Other thing I can get in front of is our video. The first one, the Phoenix Rising video, I think was pretty clear cut. I think people mostly noticed that it was something coming back. At that point, we were taking the social networks over because word needed to get out, and we were trying as best we could while obeying our lawyer's advice to show that there was still something there, to let you guys know that. I hope that was made clear.
Part of the reason why we did that too was just there's a big range of responses and big range of comments people were making on social media. And the one thing I was concerned about was a lot of people kept saying over and over again, Genesis is dead. And at that point, we very much hoped it wouldn't be. It wasn't decided officially, but we were trying to save this game. And the reason for that first post was just when a lot of people were saying, Genesis is dead and I'm selling my collection, I worried for those people. I didn't want people to sell their entire collections at a fraction of what they're worth, assuming the game was dead and gone. And then 2 or 3 months later, which is the timeline it should have been, we would have been able to announce that we were saving the game was actually going to come back and hopefully grow even bigger and better than before. And I didn't want people who used to love the game and sold it at a fraction of their value to have to try and either get back into it or miss out on all the fun. So that was with the best of intentions. We're just trying to save people from jumping to something too rashly. Because again, it's only 6 weeks, 7 weeks?
It's been 6 weeks, maybe almost 7.
Yeah.
And I can comfortably say I've been through mergers and acquisitions and offers and things like this in my professional career. The average is I wouldn't say the average, but commonly it's 6 to 8 weeks. Or 6 to 8 weeks, 6 to 8 months, I'm sorry. 6 to 8 months is a usual mergers and acquisitions process when you get through due diligence and whatnot.
That's right.
Throw in a announcement that a company is closing its doors, and that usually extends the time. Basically, every factor into this has not mitigated that timeline. It's actually made it worse. So a 6-week turnaround is actually astronomical. Any of you that are in business will know that.
Yeah.
A business of this size would probably take 2 to 3 months. It wouldn't be in that 6 to 8 month window, but I would say it would be at least a 2 to 3 month window for something like this to transpire. So I think we're
a little bit ahead of the curve.
We're getting a little bit ahead of the curve, but I don't want to counter chickens before they're hatched, because we still do have to work through some stuff, and my concerns are that the actions of today might put a bit of a slowdown on that, because I don't know what they need to work through on the legal side of things. There's a question I want to answer in the chat. I did, but I want to say it out loud too.
Okay, please do.
But first, I want to jump to the second video, because what I was trying to get at was the fact that we have tried to approach this as best we can from a positive standpoint. I mean, if you've never met Jason, he's probably the most positive person in the world, and that's coming from someone like me who knows Will and other people like that who are, and Sid, not Osid, but Sid Williams, who are probably 2 of the most positive people I know in the world. So these are all very super positive people. We tried as best as possible, while still following the guidelines of our lawyers, to let you guys know, please do not put forth this set, because there are plans to release it, and it needs to be released on a proper schedule by the eventual owners of that company, of that IP.
Yeah.
What I wanted to answer in the set was, we had a question from Douglas Woodard. Woodard, sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong.
Yep.
He wants to know if the set is going to be printed and shipped. And Jason, I told him in there, but you can say it out loud as you'd like to as well. Is Invasions going to be printed and shipped?
Yeah.
Yes, Invasions is going to be printed and shipped. There, he couldn't even say it.
Well, the thing is, a set will get printed and shipped, but to be honest with you, the more cards that get spoiled, the more likely some of those cards will get changed or whatnot, because you can't have an entire set of cards spoiled to the public and then have no secrecy, no hype to build in the last few months before it gets released. So, yes, if nothing had got spoiled, I think our intention would have been to release a set that was very close to what Invasions was locked into. However, we still, as we always think there's room for improvement, we would have looked at the set and given it some consideration for maybe a little tweak here and there. Now that a big chunk, maybe a fifth of it, has been spoiled, we might want to take a little more time to try and tweak some of those cards or whatnot, because you need to have surprises and you need to have excitement at the time when a set's about to come out. And if the whole set gets spoiled, we won't be able to do that properly. And it's got to be a fun experience. When the next official set of Genesis cards come out, it's got to be super fun and exciting. And we won't settle for anything less.
I can address two more questions that came in. One from Joey. Why can't we legally announce a vision at least, knowing there are two other efforts to push something forward from the Genesis Council and Convergence, and also from Grandma Brand Hot Dogs, which is Sid Williams, previous champion of
yeah, I remember Sid. He came up here.
2020?
Yeah, 20? I know Sid.
Yeah, it's the first game I ever won of Genesis, Sid. I beat you here because you were testing out a new deck, but you didn't tell me at the time, so I actually felt important, like I had done it. If you're advised not to speak publicly, why not at least privately? A lot of people would be strong advocates if they knew that it was something involved in the community. You guys may choose not to believe me. I don't think I've ever led you astray or not been a straight shooter about it, but I'm being 100% honest when I tell you, for legal reasons, we were not advised not to do so.
Mm-hmm.
If we had come out and said from day one, hey guys, we're putting this bid in, then things come out of the woodwork for other people coming into it. These are all things that our lawyers have told us. This stays between you and the buyer.
Well, again, because it's normally confidential. That's
again,
how it
having
works.
been through mergers and acquisitions myself, that's how it is. Even on a private note, like literally, we don't tell our spouses what is going on because you're not allowed to. My spouse does not know what's happening. She is not part of the company. She doesn't know that because I cannot. That's part of it. If you've been through this sort of thing. If anyone's a lawyer in there, they can tell you probably the same thing. When your lawyer says, don't say this, and then you go say it, the lawyer says, well, guess what now? I can't help you, or it's going to cost a fortune to try and solve this problem. So they might not be the answers you want, and I'm terribly sorry about that, but those are the answers as to why. Sid, I didn't talk to you privately, but Joey, I spoke to you. Will, I spoke to you privately. Steve, I've spoken to you, probably a few others. You guys know how candid I had to be when I spoke to you, and you know that's not my nature. And you know I wouldn't have done that on purpose if I could have avoided it.
Okay, so
you can go on now.
a couple thoughts just because I've been kind of reading the chat. Just to address Will directly, you're right, not a lot of the cards have been spoiled. That's what I was saying is if like the majority of the cards get spoiled, then we're going to have to tweak some of them and whatnot to keep that hype up. As it is right now, I mean, it's not terrible. But full disclosure, we have to reset a lot of processes. Like, for example, we won't be using the printer that Sid used before. So we're still negotiating with contracts with companies. Full disclosure, the next set won't be out in Q2. Like, it can't be.
No.
Because, we still have to negotiate contracts with printers, which we have a couple that we're considering, and things like that. And there's a lot. I'm only saying printers as an example. There's a lot of contracts, a lot of distribution things that need to be rebuilt because unfortunately, the previous owner didn't handle things the best way, is the way to say it. And we have to do a lot of rebuilding, and it's going to take time. Our intention absolutely is to get a really great quality Genesis Battle Champion set out as soon as possible. That's the truth. And already we're kind of ahead of the timeline we thought we'd be because we're having this talk today. But it won't be this summer, unfortunately, because you can't rebuild all those connections for distribution and printing and a million other things just like that. You can't. So we're working hard on it. We're going to try and get a set out as soon as we can. It'll be later. I can't even put a date on it right now. I'm sorry. We can't.
No, we
Because things
can't.
aren't decided. Like, again, if this live stream was 2 weeks later, maybe we'd have more info on those things, like the actual timeline, but we're not there quite yet. So that's one thing I wanted to address is to Will. I'm not saying that it's going to be a huge issue as of right now, but it would be if the whole set got spoiled.
That's part of the reason we're speaking up now.
Right.
We asked Steve-O through that video and through some polite communication to not spoil anymore. And now that we saw some stuff come through the Discord, we had to speak up a bit and ask again, politely, like we always do. Please don't, because this is the plan going forward, is to produce and release Invasions to the wider audience. I know the close by core group of people are probably a little bit disappointed or upset with things overall. It feels like a lifetime. It has only been 6 weeks, but I know it feels like a lifetime.
Yeah.
Trust me, 6 weeks of me being gagged did not go over well for me. But we're asking politely, as we normally do, because we really want this to succeed and get out there, because the success of Invasions begets the success of future sets. And we're not in this to just release Invasions. We're not in this for, hey, we're a couple fans that want to see Invasions out there so we can play for another couple weeks.
No.
We want to carry this forward. We're in this for the long haul. The goal here is to get Genesis Battle of Champions producing more and more and more. Right? We don't have a timeline on all the sets yet, but the sets will be coming. We are moving it forward. As Jason said, we were a little bit rushed to get this out, so we haven't had our finalized things with full freedom of what we can talk about, but once that happens, then we will do our proper reaching out to the people we need to reach out to and planning things like that and sorting things out and getting dates. One of the questions was if we will have spoilers, and yes, of course we will. That's the goal, and that's why we're asking for people to hold on, because we'd like to do a proper spoiler season leading up to the release once we have a solid release date. Things that will get the fans back involved in it again. YouTubers, things like that, people that enjoyed the game and wanted to have a hand in spoiling these things. We want to get that back on the docket, and I think that's the best way we can do it. So we're just, it sounds like a plea. It sounds like one of those, late night infomercial things where we're like, buy our book now and keep the show going. But we're just actually asking honestly, please, have the decorum to hold back on that and let us try and get where we want this game to go for the community and for ourselves. It just seems like the right decision and the right way to go forward. We seem to be able to work through it, and it should be finalized. Do we have a date next week, or we just know sometime next week at the goal everything should be finalized next week, that we can start coming up with stuff, or do we not have that down yet?
We don't have that yet.
Okay, we don't have that down yet. Okay. So again, we're a little early for all that stuff even. But we will.
2 weeks from now would be a safe guess, and anytime sooner than that just depends on how lucky we are on how things work out.
Yeah.
Just to address a couple other things, something that needs to be said is, I know a lot of people are asking, why haven't you reached out to this person? Why haven't you reached out to that person? Joey, Dex and Drafts, who I've only had good interactions with. I met him at the World Championship, and I don't have any personal beef with you at all, Joey, so I hope you're not taking this personal. But Joey asked a good question, like, why didn't you reach out to certain people privately? And the answer is, like we keep trying to reiterate, like, who's to say that we wouldn't have? We were going to be reaching out to people, obviously, but it wasn't the time yet. It's just 6 weeks is not quick enough to get everything done with the lawyers and figure out the plan moving forward. Now, it's hard because I know a lot of people are asking the same questions. And Will asked about what about the design team, the art team. We would have been reaching out to people in due time when it was right. When we were at the position where it was time to start bringing people onto the team. And that will still happen. There will be people we will reach out to who have experience and who have, love for the game. But it's not that time yet. I'm sorry. I know that everyone wants answers right away. But like I say, even just this stream here today is earlier than it should have been. We're just trying to help people understand that it can't happen as quick as you want it to. It legally can't. That's not how it works. Business takes time, and we're just asking for a little bit of good faith. Jeff and I both love the game, and I know many people out there don't know me personally because I'm just a small store, not in the Toronto area. But for the people who have come up and met me before, I hope that you had good experiences, because I really care about the experiences people have in gaming. I care about the experiences people have here, and I care about the experiences that this community is going to have in the future that love Genesis. So, I'm sorry that we can't reach out to everybody right away. We still can't reach out to everybody now because we haven't made those decisions yet. But a little bit of patience, and we'll take this to where it needs to go. Is that fair to say, Jeff?
I think so. I think that's the best way to look at it. Let me just, I think I was catching up on a question here. Give me 1 second. Where was it here? It was someone asked a question here. I think it was the roadmap. Will was asking about a roadmap. I kind of answered that earlier, Will. We don't have that yet. Our goal is to release future sets. We were actually working on that last week a little bit, preemptively, because we want to hit the ground running. We don't want to be caught behind the 8 ball. We're not flying into this by the seat of our pants going, we'll see what happens sort of thing. We actually have planned out 3-year plan you've been working on?
Yeah.
Not a 5-year plan yet.
No. 5-year plan financially for the business.
5-year financially, 3-year for
yeah.
the game itself,
yeah.
Which, much like other games like Magic do and all that, we will, once we get these balls rolling or get ducks in a row, that's the right saying, get our ducks in a row, we will start being able to set up a roadmap like that. If any of you know my personal stuff, I've built a little roadmap for my own personal stuff I work on, and I want to do something similar for this. Here's a roadmap, that we're hoping to hit, and pretty confident with Jason's business chops and mine, we should be able to make that. As much as we're lovers of the game, as Jason keeps intimating, we are also business people first, and we're in this as a business to make the business survive, because as much as we love a game doesn't survive without a business behind it to make it survive. So that business is going to help you guys get the game on a consistent, continuous basis. That's all really I can say about that. I think that's our best approach to it is from a business first perspective. As any business is, anyone you talk to in business, the business first approach is the way to handle it, to get that business to survive long enough to be able to continue, whether it's widgets, card games, ice cream, water, whatever you're selling, there has to be a functional business behind it for that to go forward. And I think we have we were obviously, because we were chosen by the people, we were the best offer in the end to go forward with. And I don't know how many others there were, but I've been part of at least 3. I think Jason was 4th, but it might be 3. I've been part of at least 3 bids at this, so it's my 3rd or 4th kick at the can here, and this was the best put together plan. It seems like it has the best approach. Sorry, roadmap for decision making. Sorry, not for sets. You're talking about as we start developing future sets. Sorry, clarify for me. Well, you're talking about developing future sets, artists for future sets, things like that, when we can start actually releasing information to the public on making decisions internally as the business. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, just clarify the question a bit, Will, and we can answer that. One thing I don't know if we've come right out and said yet today, and I know some people in the chat have been wondering about it. I can answer one question today, is that the terms that we've agreed to is that Sid, the original creator of the game, will not be involved in Genesis moving forward. Some people might be disappointed about that because they still have good feelings for Sid, and some people will likely be very happy to hear that. But decisions being made now and forward for the best future of the game, respectfully, Sid has no input in. This is entirely 100% under the control of Edge of Exile Entertainment, which I feel that's a great thing personally. We love the game, we love what he made, but to take it to the next level, to keep growing the community, and that's the main thing that I've always cared about. Even as a former Magic judge, I've always cared about helping the gaming community in general grow. We're in a position where we don't have to answer to anyone else other than ourselves and try to make the best game that we can. Try to continue making.
To answer your question, Will, from this date going forward, no, we cannot be open and transparent, and that's because this is early.
That's what we said at the beginning.
And that's why even to say that it was, I wasn't sure, and that's why I was referring to the others here, that no, we won't have an answer by next week. But you know me, I can't keep my mouth shut. Once we have answers, once things are in place, the first thing I will go to is to the group Discord and mention, hey guys, this is now complete. We can start moving forward and being a little bit more open and transparent when it's possible.
Well, and I think just to assuage people's concerns about that, I think it's realistic to say that, like we said before, by the end of the next 2 weeks, we'll probably be in a position where we can answer a lot more of the questions that we can't answer today. And I think if people can just be patient for another 2 weeks to let the legal process and the business side of things take care of itself first, then 2 weeks from now, hopefully we'll be able to answer a lot more of the emotional game questions that you want to know about the future. So that's good. You just have to give us a little bit more time to let lawyers finish their things, to let us finish our things, to let us reach out to the people we need to reach out to, and hopefully in 2 weeks we'll have more answers.
I know I told you in the chat, Connor, but yeah, hopefully in that 2 week time window when things are finally settled, then we can start. Sorry, I misspoken the thing there. I said in 2 weeks we'll let you know. I'm not going to let you know in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks we can start that process. We've been trying behind the scenes to get the process started, but we can only go so far because we're getting to points now where we need to. What's the saying? It's not putting your money where your mouth is, but it's kind of that saying as we try and plan these things. So I can't guarantee you when a release date is going to happen because we need to have certain other things in place before we can do that. So in a couple of weeks' time, we can let you know that we're ready to start doing that and how far along that process we are. Right. You know, and then we can start putting in ideas of within X amount of time we should have an answer on a release date and things like that. But we did want to clarify that yes, it is coming. Invasion is coming out. And then going forward beyond that, more will be coming out, and we'll be working towards that. That's what we can say right now. Who's involved, what's involved, time frame, cannot talk about that at this point, unfortunately.
No. That would have been in the video 2 weeks from now, or whenever it would have worked out to. It could be quicker than 2 weeks. Depends how things go.
Yeah.
Pretty confident this is them saying nobody from the original team will be. I mean, that's a way to put words in someone's mouth who didn't say it. You just got to give us time and be patient. We're going to answer all those questions when we can in the future.
Yeah, we'll be reaching out to the right people when we need to at that time. That's pretty much it. There's nothing.
Yeah. There's no malicious intent here. Literally, the game got shut down. Everybody who loves the game was miserable and sad about it, including us. We're devastated. And we've done everything we possibly can, and now we're happy to share with you that the game is going to get a chance to live on. And we're sharing that info only 6 weeks later, which is an amazing turnaround. So, we put in a lot of sweat equity and a lot of money into this to try and save this and make this game keep going for everybody. And I'm probably the most excited person in the world right now because I love this game so much, and I'm so excited that we're all going to get to keep playing it.
Yeah.
So, you just gotta give us some time while we finish sorting everything out.
Yeah, like I said, it was a little preemptive. This wasn't planned, and
no, the fact he's here in my store 2 hours away from where he lives today shows how unplanned it was.
Family vacation.
Just dropped everything to come up here so that we could try and do this video together and let people know some info.
Kids are off somewhere having fun. I'll have to go join them later, maybe if I have time, depending when you guys are done with your questions, sort of thing. But that's neither here nor there because this is important and needs to get taken care of. So. It is impromptu, but it's as best we could do at the time because we wanted to get out there ahead of things as quickly as we could. And hopefully, on a go-forward basis, like I said, we got a couple of weeks till we think things will be settled out. And at which point, now that we've announced who we are, we can tell you if we're going to have an answer or not. So you don't have to sit there in silence and be like, why isn't there an answer? We can say it's forthcoming in approximately this much time.
Yeah.
Right. So it's no longer having to beat around the bush on that, which is very beneficial, I think, to you all. I hope. And I lost my train of thought there, but it was something along the lines of. I think it was just that because we were so preemptive. Yeah, I can't believe it. You guys, I'm tongue-tied now. I can't talk. But yeah, it was just that this was preemptive, so we don't have that information yet. But now that it's out there, we can talk a little bit more openly about the fact that when things are going to be happening. And we can't, like I said, we can't peg a time down yet, especially being a long weekend. I'm warning you guys ahead of time. It's going to feel like it's even longer because tomorrow is off for most people. So we're not going to get answers and responses and work-throughs from lawyers and whatnot.
Right, because it's a holiday Monday in Ontario.
In Ontario. I forgot, some of you guys aren't in Canada. In Ontario, Canada, it's a holiday Monday.
Yeah, lawyers aren't working tomorrow. So
we're working, but no one else is working.
Yeah, ironic.
Sort of thing. Yeah, it's funny, right?
Well, I can say to Joey, thank you for being patient and see what we do in a few weeks.
Yeah.
If you've known Jeff before this, if you've been friends with Jeff before this, and you know what kind of guy he is, I would like to think that you would know that he's not somebody who would maliciously go out of his way to hurt anyone's feelings or to do anything wrong. And for the small amount of you out there who are watching right now who have met me in person before, I hope you would know the same thing about me. This is being done with a commitment to the community to grow the game and take it to all new heights. That is our goal. Like, we love this game, and we're going to do it the right way. And sometimes the right way just takes time. And that's what we're doing.
Yeah,
like,
unfortunately it does, yeah.
So, like, all I can ask is that for anyone who's actually met me in person, judge me on the interactions you've had with me in person, and you know me. And I can only ask the same for Jeff. If you know Jeff and if you met Jeff in person, don't jump to the worst. I know that it's human nature to jump to the worst, but judge him based on how he's acted in the past. And just give us the time we need to do things properly.
I know some of you will probably reach out to me on some of the socials. Again, I can't answer things that I can't answer, but feel free to.
Yeah.
As long as you keep things above board and clean, I have no problem with that. As Jason said, pretty straight shooter, pretty above board, but some of you know, if you're being inappropriate, I won't put up with that. So it's not like a threat thing, please. Yeah. It's just that I won't. Like, there's no reason to attack people for things. So just be pleasant, and I will answer what I can when I can. And by all means, I'll talk to you on the phone if I can. Like, it's not a problem, right? I'll chat with you guys. I have a day job, so I can't do it every day, all day. But we'll find time if need be, so you can hear my voice, and maybe that'll quell your concerns if there are any. Let me see. I'm just going to check if there's any other questions going on. Okay, we have a great quote from Wing Commander. I never had a computer powerful enough to run Wing Commander. I was very jealous. I couldn't do FMV, full motion video. I never had a good enough computer for that. The 386s or whatever never did it for me.
I'd like to just take a quick moment just to say hi to Adam Jeremy Lehman, who just posted a comment I just saw. Don't get the impression that we're banking on invasions. There's a lot more planned for the future than just invasions. And Jeff's been an artist, right? He's been doing his comics for years. Jeff is a creative mind. He's been doing storytelling and creating games. Jeff has actually made some independent games, solo ventures.
3 games out there right now.
Right? So Jeff has experience in this industry, practical experience. While I don't have experience creating games, for me personally, for you, those of you who don't know, I was a level 2 Magic judge for 6 years, and I've worked with a lot of the best tournament organizers around the world. I've worked in Grand Prix in Las Vegas and Florida and all over. And I've been involved in the gaming scene for years. My spouse and I own North of Exile Games, and we've been building this game store community up here for the last 6 years. And it's survived COVID. It survived Main Street construction where you couldn't get to the building. Like, we both have different skill sets in the gaming industry. We're both creative. I'm a terrible musician, but I'm creative.
Me too, don't worry.
Storyteller. Yeah, so we're both terrible musicians as well. So there's a lot of creativity and a lot of business experience, and some of it directly translates to this. So, yeah, we're literally not banking on just invasions. But if it could not be spoiled so that we can use some of that, then that'd be great. So, yeah, there's a lot more going on. It's hard because I know some of you don't know me at all. Some of you haven't met me at all. And I'm sure some people watching probably haven't met you, despite the fact that you're like a world famous person. So
infamous.
It's
infamous.
Yes.
It's like the what's it called there? The three. I forgot the name of it now. Anyways, whatever. The Steve Martin movie there. He's infamous, right? El Guapo was infamous. Anyways,
yeah.
One of the questions that we had here was from Connor. Thank you, Connor. I think you've had a lot of really good questions lately. Where can you find more information? Normally, I'd point you towards the Discord channels because that's where it seems most stuff lives. However, it's all speculation on Discord channels right now, so I don't want to point you in that way. You feel free to join the Discords, but I would look at our website and our Facebook page. That's where we're going to be posting most things as they come available. We will obviously be watching Discords and things like that to try and jump in when we can and how we can, but there's some communications we can't or won't engage in, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending how you look at it. But I would look at those two places, Connor, right now. It's going to be a little slow go from the get-go, and I can be honest and tell you most of that is going to be because we're worried about trying to get this We're working on trying to get this business off the ground, which is the primary concern. And I don't mean to throw anyone away, leave any of the community behind because they're key and important to it. A game survives from its community, not how much you want to sell.
Absolutely.
But the business needs to be there too, and that's going to be probably taking up the next little bit of our time is sorting that out. Once we've got that settled, then we can come to the community in full force. I will try and book it in.
We're juggling two things.
Pretty
We're
much,
juggling trying to get this business established
Yeah.
and everything legally done. And then we're also at the same point brainstorming for the future as well. But for the next few weeks, we're now, especially now that the word is out and you understand what's going on, I think we're going to, for the next few weeks, really just focus on getting the business end of things done.
Probably.
So that in a couple of weeks we can give you more answers you really want. And it's great to ask questions about like what's the roadmap for the future, for like what sets might come in the future and things like that. But it's not the time to ask us that yet because we have a ballpark idea, but we're too busy doing the other work behind the scenes right now. And so everything is a team effort. There's Jeffrey, there's myself, there will be other people in the future. It's a team effort. We're just not there yet. So
yeah, we're building to it. It's not quite starting on the ground floor, but it is basically early days of a startup for all intents and purposes. It's the same vibe and the same work that needs to go into it because it is starting everything from anew. Okay, who else here?
Oh, did somebody ask if we're going to change the name of Justice Rebirth?
Oh, we had a great suggestion from Douglas for Rebirth instead of Invasion.
Oh, as the set.
As the set name.
Okay. Yeah. I actually have a different idea for a
Jason's going to shut up right now, though. By the way.
But I won't tell you what it is.
Jason's going to stop talking at this point.
But yeah, I'm not speaking about changing the Invasion name. I have an idea for the set after that, which is similar, but not. I can't say anything.
Yeah.
I feel like, what's that guy from Magic? The guy who's always hyper and does the Infinity sets?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Morrow. I feel like
I
feel like Morrow, because he's always hinting at spoilers, but then he backs off and can't.
Jason
I just
can't
can't
keep his mouth shut.
Right?
Not at all.
Are you like Spider-Man? Tom Holland?
Oh, Tom Holland, yes.
Yeah.
This is our Tom Holland.
I'm the Tom Holland, yeah.
Much less attractive or flexible than Tom Holland, but he is our Tom Holland.
Speak for yourself. What do you know?
No, it's true. I'm much less attractive and far less flexible. That's true.
Are there any other questions that we can try and answer for you? Because I don't want to cut anyone off that has a valid question that we can try and get to today, something that we're actually able to answer. I'd like to, as much as possible, because I don't know when we're going to go live again, and I don't want it to sound like radio silence for weeks on end from us. Like I said, I will try as much as I can to engage with you people when I can, but are there any other valid questions?
Well, everything's valid. Everything's valid. But if you have any questions you feel we could probably answer
Sorry,
today.
by valid I meant questions about the company, about the game, about this moving forward.
Yeah.
I think a valid question is not about me or you personally. Well, I guess those are valid, aren't they?
If they want, yeah.
Yeah. What do you want to know about me?
But if you want to
Let
know
me know.
stuff,
Tell you.
we're here to try and answer questions.
I'll almost tell you.
And just let you know that the future looks bright. So,
I
yeah.
think it is. If I had sunglasses, I'd put them on and say the bright.
Right?
It's so bright I got to wear shades.
These tint in the sun, but I'm not getting any sunlight from here. So,
yes, we can answer that question, Joey.
yes, we do control all the social media channels.
We
That actually
control-
took effect a few weeks ago.
The horizontal and the vertical, isn't that from a movie or a music video?
Be serious with them. Yeah, no, we do. We control.
Yes.
We have the Twitter account, and
Yeah.
as you, some people are aware, the website.
Yeah.
Because one of the owners, and I'm not going to say who it was. I won't name them, but somebody was doing the typing during Steve-O's recent stream. And I'm not going to say which owner it was. Could be me, could be Janice, could be a mystery third person. One of the owners decided to go a little off tangent at the end, but it was good. It was funny.
No idea what Tom Holland here is talking about.
Yeah, I don't know
Just
either.
keep quiet on that.
Will this video be followed up with an announcement somewhere of at least what was shared for those not in the Discord or maybe unaware that this video exists?
It's going to. This live will be published on the North of Exile YouTube channel because it is there.
Yeah.
We will reshare it if we can. I got to figure that out on YouTube. If we can reshare it to the official Genesis Battle of Champions YouTube, we will. If not, we will download it and re-upload it to there so it's available.
Yeah, that's probably how it's going to go, I think.
I think so. Whatever it is, we'll get it up there that way. Yeah. We wanted to do it through that. The timing just didn't work out again because we weren't prepared for it. So we're going to get that done. We're going to do that as soon as we can because I know the community doesn't live in Discord. There's a wider, broader community than that. And I want to make sure they're aware of what's going on. Right now, as far as they just know, things are on pause.
Yeah.
Can we answer Connor's question?
What was Connor's question?
No idea yet.
We don't. Okay, I didn't think so.
Do you have an idea about LGS support? Well, Connor, would you mind expanding on what you mean about that? What do you mean by LGS support? because I will answer it. If you could just explain a little bit, what kind of support do you mean? Do you mean organized play with promos? Do you mean will booster boxes be available for sale in stores? Let me know what your question means, and I'll answer it for you, Connor. How does your other businesses affect your involvement in this? Well, that's a good question, Will. I can answer a little bit of that one. My business, North of Exile Games, is pretty self-sufficient, and I'm just going to wind up making one of my staff members be a full-time manager of the store because my intent moving forward is to be full-time growing the community as the president of the new company, Edge of Exile Entertainment. I'll be working probably 40 hours a week on Genesis from now on, moving forward. Maybe more than 40 hours some weeks, because that's what you do when you're a business owner.
Yeah, for me, it's similar. I've built a team at my day job that is pretty self-sufficient. They will be able to run things on their own. I will not be working as a full day employee as Jason is, but I do have the time allotted to work on this and get this done in a timely manner. It's not something that is going to be a part-time gig, if that makes sense.
Or an afterthought.
Or an afterthought,
Yeah.
that's the word. It's not an afterthought. It is first and foremost in my mind and taking things over from hobbies, basically.
Yeah.
It's replacing the hobbies in my life to get this off the ground and successful.
Yeah, for the next week or two, while things continue to get finalized, it'll be part-time for me, and then as soon as it's finalized, I can dive into it full-time. And Genesis will be my top priority moving forward. So.
Okay,
That's
so
where
for
we're at.
Connor was asking about organized play, boxes in stores, larger circulation.
No, not circulation, circuit play.
Circuit
like
play.
Organized tournaments.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
To play some games and get some promos. I don't think we can answer that yet, but I don't think we can also not answer it because if we want this game to survive and go forward, kicking
Look.
under the table, if I'm speaking out of turn, but saying there's certain things that we have to do to make a game successful in a game store.
Oh, let's just tell them. Let's just talk. Look, here's the thing. Organized play will take a little while to get started again. There is old promos that we could reuse if we wanted to start up. But there's a whole logistics of trying to run organized play on a global scale. That's going to take a while. That's probably not until at least next year, to be honest with you. The goal is, though, to totally rebuild everything that's been shut down. There's going to be booster boxes in stores going through normal distribution.
Yep.
That's the truth. And he's going to be really mad at me that I said that.
Yep.
But I think it's important that the community knows that. That, like, it is our intention to get this game back up to where it was and take it much farther.
Jason's doing a great job of not screaming, and I've been kicking him under the table this entire time.
Yeah,
Basically.
I just lost an ankle for you, Connor, but I got you. We're gonna totally try and rebuild it, and it's gonna be great in the future. But that will take time too. Remember how I said earlier that we're still dealing with printers and all that stuff? There's a lot of stuff that you have to rebuild with new contracts, new agreements, and that takes time. But eventually, we are going to get to where you want to be.
I can answer part of Joey's question about reaching out to previous stores. Of course we will. 100%.
Oh, yeah,
They
why would you
support
not?
before. We will again. As for the second part of your question, I don't know. One of the things tied up in legal right now. So I do not have an answer for that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, the pre-order thing, I mean, even we had pre-ordered. My local store had pre-ordered, and that's not decided yet. So
No,
that's,
exactly. That's something we don't have an answer for, unfortunately. Like I said,
maybe in a
honest
couple
with you.
weeks we'll know more. I don't know. We'll see.
We keep
when
saying a
else.
couple weeks. I gotta start saying a few weeks because a couple weeks might be the finalized of certain things, and then a few
Okay.
weeks.
When
keep
I
in
say
mind
the word
couple is
couple,
two.
I mean several, but you're right.
Yeah.
Technically, couple is exactly
I have a
right.
question
So-
for you guys that aren't in Canada or aren't in Ontario. Does couple mean more than two, or is that only an Ontario thing? Because when I say couple, I mean 3, 4, 5, 6. It's somewhere in that range of
Yeah.
1 to 5 or 6. Is that only a localized thing? Yes, that's a very silly question, but I want to ask a question back to you. Please let me know if you feel up to it.
Will's got a great question. What are things we've learned from Haunted Castle Game, and what are things we think can be changed to benefit? I'm not going to quite answer that question today, but I will say that we have learned a lot
Yes.
in the last few weeks, because obviously as the people who have been negotiating the purchase of this IP, we've got to learn a lot of information that is confidential and rightfully should stay confidential. It's
Yep.
not our place to
Yep.
tell tales out of school, so to speak. But I will say that there is a lot that we've learned, and maybe I'll be able to give a better answer to that question in a couple of weeks, because I'd like to think about it, because the problem with the way that question is worded, Will, is it would be really easy to just try and make it as like there was all these negatives done by the previous person, and I don't want to publicly slander or badmouth anybody. So
Within reason.
That might be, maybe if you want to ask me that privately or Jeff privately later, we could answer that, because you were kind of involved. You were involved in the project, but I wouldn't want to publicly. I'm not wired that way. So, good question, though, Will, and we can answer it, but I don't think this is the right format to say he did this wrong and we're going to do this right.
But I think a safe answer, you're right, Jason, is not even just safe answer. A good answer is yes, we've learned a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Good and bad.
Absolutely.
And I'll be honest with you guys, some of it we've learned from the community, not from it itself. But we've learned.
That's fair too. Yes, that's
true. We have learned it.
Because, there's some things we'll never know either, to be honest. It's been hard for everybody to get answers, including us, in some cases. So.
Yeah,
and that's not talking.
Yeah.
From you.
Yep.
Joey says it's more than 2 weeks to him. It means
it is? Okay. That's how I've always used couple. I use couple, but I mean...
Yeah, but he's Colorado. Colorado is like Canada with beautiful mountains.
Right. Wait, but we have beautiful mountains, so just really far away.
On the west coast?
Yeah. That's still Canada.
It's not Toronto. Not really Canada.
Oh my God, Jeffrey, stop you.
Now I gotta stop talking before I get us in trouble.
Yeah. Did you remember that people play Genesis in the West Coast? Come on now.
They do? Is there anything else you guys would like to know that we can possibly answer?
Yeah.
And if not, by all means, let us know to cut it off and we'll stop talking now and let you guys get back to whatever you were doing for a beautiful long weekend.
Last call for questions. Last call for questions for sure, because Jeffrey's abandoned his family to come here and talk to everybody today, and we can't keep him here much longer.
Oh yeah, Joey's right. A couple of beers never means 2 beers.
I
understand that.
Yes, that's right.
A couple of fries, couple of this. Yeah. You know what? It works in Italian too, because my grandparents used to ask for a couple of macaronis. I meant a whole bowl. That's all they meant. So, never mind. It's universal. So the people that think couple only means 2 are wrong. You heard it here first. I'm going to put that into our minutes as one of our first dictates as a company.
Okay. Well, we're literally coming up on the 1 hour point of the live stream.
John, if you're looking, John, if you're looking for answers that aren't part of a public forum, please reach out to me or Jason directly, and we will answer as best we can. Okay.
I need an ice cream. Can you come get one? Yes. You can. We're open today. You can come get ice cream. 9 different flavors of ice cream.
6 dips.
6 different dips as well.
Yeah. And not this dip.
7 dips.
I won't be here, though.
I wouldn't dip your cone on that, though. I would just leave that one out.
All right, boys.
All right.
Thank you all very, very much. Sorry that we haven't been able to speak sooner. Sorry that we had to come and speak to you earlier than we planned on.
Yeah.
But as things progress, we will get back to you more frequently, I hope. Let's see, Douglas, no questions. Reading it out to you is kind of boring. I'll try and read it to myself, sorry. I'm sure you can. How's the convention?
Joey, between Jeff and I, we've had lots of discussions about it.
Yes.
Yeah, we've had lots of discussions about it, but it's still not the right time to do it. So, and obviously, as things have happened the last few weeks, and we've tried to very politely try and stem the tide of unfortunate things happening.
Yeah.
It's led us to where we are today. But we were of course we were talking about it.
I was going to say, if you go back and see some of my comments in the Discord, you'll see how with the current news, you'll see why they were made the way they were, as best I could.
Yeah.
So I apologize to those of you that thought I was either being callous or quiet, but that's why.
Right. Don't want to be disingenuous.
Yes. No, I didn't, and I don't think I was. I did the best I could.
It was an awkward spot.
Usually,
it was a really awkward spot.
In other mergers and acquisitions I've been part of, usually it's not in a public forum like this.
Right.
Usually these things are done. It's like someone put earlier, I think John put earlier, it's like buying a house. Houses are bought in private. You have a sealed bid, you do whatever, especially nowadays, it's crazy. But anyways, all these things are done in private. It's not a public open forum. So this was a little bit different for me, and navigating was a little bit more difficult for me. I did the best I could to try and keep literally cards close to my chest as much as I could, and reveal as much information as I could. Normally, most of these interactions would not have taken place at all. This would have been complete silence, and it would have just gone over its 6 to 8 or whatever month process, due diligence, and got completed, and then an announcement would have been made. This is a bit of a different animal, so we're tackling as best we could, and I shouldn't, but I'm going to apologize for any missteps I did along the way. Stop kicking me.
Yeah,
Stop kicking me.
No. It was very unintentional
It
if there
was.
was any missteps.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, we always tried to do the best we could with how much our hands were tied at the time.
Yeah.
And are still.
And they're still tied.
Yeah,
right?
that's why
So-
we can, and that's why, yeah, it's saying next week is a little presumptuous of us because we are waiting on forces that are out of our control.
Yeah.
It's probably the easiest way to say that. And that's not, yeah, that's the easiest way to say it.
Yeah.
Things that are outside of our control. And if you're in business, you know what those forces are. If not, I'm sorry, I will explain those forces to you when I can. Thank you all very, very much. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any other quick question. Hey, you can that's fine. Don't need to more than that right now. Okay. Thank you all so very much.
Yeah.
Jason, you got to talk at the beginning, so I'm going to talk at the end and do a sign off.
All you, buddy.
Bye.
Wait, I'm not
No, I'm kidding. Thank you all so very much for joining us. I hope you've all had a wonderful weekend thus far. I hope this leaves you on a good Sunday.
Yeah, I
And
hope you feel better.
Yeah,
Right?
I hope. And please be in touch. Stay in touch with us as we're going to try and stay in touch with you as much as we can over the coming time because we want to.
Yeah,
We
just
don't
give
just
us,
need to. We want to.
just be patient in the next few weeks as we get more things sorted out, and as we can answer questions, we will keep doing it.
You said a few weeks. Get out of here. You're not part of Ontario anymore.
Well, I had to switch it because I'm addressing the worldwide audience.
Thank you all so very much. Once this is posted up, I will, in the official channels, I will repost it to the Discord and we'll post it on Facebook so that people can get access to it, okay?
Yeah, that might take till what, tonight, tomorrow? It won't be right away because you have to go visit with family.
It's
So-
probably going to be tomorrow or Tuesday.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
But we'll get
put
it
the
done.
cart before the horse there because depends. Depends what goes on. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you all so very much. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Pleasure
Jeff.
doing business with you, sir.
Pleasure doing business with you too. We are going to have a lot of fun.
We'll do a lot more of these going forward. I hope.
Oh yes, I'm going to give you the last word in a second after I say this. Our intention is definitely when things are going full speed ahead, we want